listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum, recorded from a secret location in the city that moves mountains.
Greetings.
We come in peace.
How's it going today, Cronkite?
It's going fair to middling. How are you?
I've not heard that expression in a long time. And you call me old.
Well, you know.
I am doing good. It's been a busy week at the Cookie Factory.
Busy
week in the news with everything's going on. We'll talk about that in just a few moments.
That's exciting.
Very, very exciting stuff, or it could also be very sad stuff. Because and I think somebody even asked us this in our listener email, but once the disclosure does happen, could that mean the end of Here to Chew Bubblegum?
No.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely not.
No.
All that means is that we're going to be like meeting up with the aliens and interviewing them.
There you go. We're going to try to get some of them on the show.
That's exactly right. I've already been working on my alien speak.
Well, you have done very good, my friend. You've done excellent.
I've been studying.
That sounded more like a pterodactyl or dinosaur.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. So, oh, man, I had a thought and I forgot it. Daggone. Okay, never mind. Continue the show.
That happens when you get old, my friend. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone to check out Talk Junkie with Justin. I've been listening to his show, and it's phenomenal. Excellent show. Really great.
Excellent show.
And also, he turned me on to another local podcast called Down on the Holler.
Down on the Holler.
Yes, with Jordan, Brad, and Jordan. I've listened to just a little bit of that, but so far I really like what I hear. Those are some local guys. Down on the Holler.
So, I've never heard of that one.
Well, that is a good one. So you'll have to check those out.
I would have
Down on the Holler with Jordan, Brad, and Jordan, and Talk Junkie with our friend Justin. And Justin, I think, is a skeptic.
Uh-oh.
So when we have the round table, the next round table we have, hopefully Justin will be here in Bunker Studios and take part in that round table. And my goal before the end of that show is to turn him into a believer.
Well, now, why do you think he's a skeptic?
I don't know, because he's not really come out and said that, but he has mentioned us graciously on his show. And thank you very much for that, Justin. And I think he's kind of skeptic. You know, and I'm not saying that I believe everything that, pops up.
Right, no.
But there is definitely, we've said before, if we're the only race out there in this vast, wide galaxy, universe, that's an awful waste of space.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a very closed-minded way to look at it. I mean, and I'm not saying Justin is closed-minded and looks at it that way. I'm not saying that at all. No, not at all. But going back to the vastness of the universe, I mean, to think in the billions, trillions, whatever the next one after that is,
right,
of star systems and planets and all. Really? Earth is the only place that there is life.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on.
Let's go ahead and talk about this before we hit some listener email. Some UFO news.
Alrighty.
If you were still doing the news, you would be reporting on this, but as we all know, you don't do that anymore.
I don't, no. It's Newsman Goose.
This week, national TV news and respected newspapers have plastered images on front pages and on nightly newscasts all over the world. Among those who've been asked to comment are two top members of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Both gave interviews to Mystery Wire this past week. And you can check out MysteryWire.com for more information on that. But the big news is UAP encounters. Did you see these photos?
I have. I have seen these photos.
And they have already said, and they specified, you had like a blimp one, you had a pyramid-shaped one.
Yes.
And then you had an acorn one that they called.
Well, did you see that one that I sent you on the messenger?
Yes, I did.
That was interesting.
Yes, it was.
And that was more shaped like an acorn.
Yes, it was. And the government has already said that these are not balloons. They've ruled that out. These are not from this planet. In March 2019, a crew of Navy F-8-18 flying out of the Naval Station Oceana off the coast of Virginia into restricted airspace called W-72 encountered three unknown objects, one right after another directly in their flight path. So, the first thing, if something's there, they're out doing training missions, Evidently, they didn't know it was there because it did not show up on their radar.
Right, right.
The weapons officer used an iPhone to snap a photo dubbed the Spear. Then minutes later, an object now nicknamed the Acorn showed up, followed by a third object, which was labeled the Metallic Blimp. The unclassified photos were forwarded to Pentagon investigators working for what is now known as the UAP Task Force, a congressionally designed program created to find out if the aerial intruders might be foreign drones, balloons, or something that cannot be explained. Again, they've already ruled out the balloons and drones, and they have classified it as unknown. 2 years ago, after examining the photos, along with sensor data that was not made to the public, the UAP Task Force considers the object to be unknowns. There you go. The Pentagon later confirmed the 2019 photos were taken by a U.S. FA-18 flight crew off the coast of Virginia. After the three photos were reported to Mystery Wire, more exotic images surfaced, courtesy of filmmaker Jeremy Corbell. You know Jeremy Corbell? He's the one that did the Bob Lazar documentary.
Yes.
Corbell unveiled a startling video of unknown objects described as flying pyramids. The video was recorded through an infrared device from the deck of a Navy warship in July 2019. A Pentagon spokesperson confirmed that the video was recorded by Navy personnel. This week's Corbell's images and Mystery Wire's visuals have been published around the world, making international headlines and appearing in network newscasts. These images are a brief presentation prepared by the UAP Task Force and delivered to higher-ups in the military, intelligence fields, and other members of Congress in closed-door briefings. Mm-hmm. The government classified them as unknowns. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, June 1st is just around the corner.
They're here.
You know what? I'm starting to think that maybe disclosure is coming this year.
I think the very good possibility that it is coming.
2 years ago, they would not have said a thing about that. Right. They would have said balloons or swamp gas.
Now, think about it. It was last April when they put out the video of the ship doing maneuvers, and they said it was not of this world.
Right.
But, and then a year later they put out another one. That's what we call a soft opening, my friends.
Indeed.
Yeah,
I mean, it's coming. It's coming probably sooner than I would have imagined. I would imagine it's probably going to be a few years away, but maybe this year.
Definitely. And just briefly, I wanted to mention, and we talked about this on a radio show this past week, not a lot, but the James Webb Space Telescope. Did you do any research on that?
I did not.
Okay.
I've got six. I've done some six things.
Okay.
But,
yeah, you have the table full there.
Whatever we want to talk about, I've got it right here.
Engineers working on NASA's James Webb Space Telescope have successfully folded and packed its sunshield for its upcoming million-mile, roughly 1.5 million kilometer journey, which will begin later this year. This is part of an international mission to launch a huge new telescope a million miles from Earth. The James Webb Telescope is years behind schedule and billions of dollars over budget. And you cracked a grin there. Why did you crack a grin?
Well, it's always over budget, isn't it? Always.
Now, scientists say that this telescope will have the ability to detect any galaxy in the universe. The telescope is fitted with a mid-infrared instrument, which is one of the four detectors. Let's see, it goes on to say the MIRI will be able to look back in time a few 100 million years after the Big Bang, thought to have happened more than 13.5 billion years ago.
Wow. So
this telescope will be able to look back in time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the Coronavisor on the WXLR show this past week.
Indeed.
How it supposedly can see back in time.
Mm-hmm.
This telescope will 100% look back in time, and I can tell by the look on your face, you kind of get where I'm going with this.
But it's present day for us.
Yes.
But it's 100 million years in the past.
Think about this for a second.
For light speed, I guess, right?
If the government has the capability of a telescope to look back in time, don't you think they could have the capability of traveling back in time?
Yeah, probably.
So
probably
that's my thoughts.
Well,
exactly.
Here's what I would like to know: is why are we putting a telescope 1,000,000 miles from Earth?
To look back in time.
We're looking back in time, or we're looking for.
Well, we're looking for. Let's see. It says that we're looking for. The scientist says the James Webb Telescope will have the ability to detect any galaxy in the universe.
Also known as, there is a hostile race of aliens out there, and we're trying to keep an eye on them.
Well, okay. Well, we go back to the UAP story. Mm-hmm. If those three, all right, there was 3 different ships, so therefore that makes me think there's 3 different species. Mm-hmm. Okay, if they were hostile, would they have not attacked the Navy ships or the planes?
Perhaps, but I mean, maybe there's, like I said, maybe there's a race that we're trying to keep an eye on because, we know from talking to their neighbors, hey, you don't want to mess with these guys.
There you go. That's what I was going to say. So it's a very exciting time in technology and science, and we actually need this after the year that we had last year, which was pitiful.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm gonna have to get the Rosetta Stone for alien languages, so I can brush up and can actually officially interview
Rosetta Stone for alien languages,
so that I can officially interview one of the Greys.
I did not even know that existed.
Well, it will after this year.
Okay. Let's move on to some listener email. We had a ton of email this week. We'll try to get to all of it here.
Okay.
Wesley from Kentucky says, "Hey guys, first time, long time listener. I would suggest The Secrets of Fatima as a topic if someone hasn't suggested it yet. Cronkite, I would love to hear some more about your old house. Elliot, I loved listening to the articles. The newest ones with the spooky family were great. Please keep those going. Gertie has a voice for radio. You all sound really fun. Can I ask why you don't want your real name out there?" And I guess that's to Elliot. Mm-hmm. Goose mentioned on the newest show that you have a job that you need to keep your identity hidden. I completely understand if that's the case. Spooky family for life, Goose and Cronkite for life, Ned said for life, Roswell. Well, thank you very much, Wesley.
Yeah, Wesley, awesome email. I'll just go ahead and say it. Elliot is a time traveler, and he is part of a secret program that the government controls, and we can't tell his real name.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to go with?
I'm
going to go with that too.
And he may be telling you one, Wesley. So, any more stories about your old house?
Well, I have reached out to my brother and my sister because they had the most issues, and they are procrastinators, much like I am. My whole family is procrastinators, so we are still waiting to hear back from them. However, though, I did speak with old man Cronkite, who told me that years ago when we moved out of that house, my mother was packing up one of the rooms upstairs in the part of that house that was...
Was it your room?
No. That was supposedly, not supposedly, but had all the activity happening. And this is when we had been telling them for years, hey, this place is weird, you know what I mean? And so finally she just got tired of it, and she was like, if there's anything in here, make yourself known, kind of jokingly.
Right.
And the bedroom door slammed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Said it freaked her out. She left the house and wouldn't go back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, fortunately, we were leaving. We were moving.
Yeah.
So. Kirby from Indiana says, I had a dream I was abducted. When I woke up, my pants and hoodie was on backwards.
Thank you, Kirby, for writing in.
IDK how I did that in my sleep. I get sleep paralysis all the time, and then I can't remember what has actually happened. This isn't a lie. It's true and happened. I've been going through this for the past 2 years or so. I'm starting to think it's real and not a dream. Thanks for reading my email. Maybe might suggest maybe putting a cam or like a trail cam or something in your room.
Yeah. It sounds to me like he's been abducted.
It very well could be. It very well could be.
Why would they put his clothes back on backwards?
Well, I mean,
because they have a great sense of humor.
They have a very good sense of humor. Yeah. Yes. They know that we're going to find out about them soon. They're just like, we got one on you.
Oh, yep. There you go.
I mean, honestly though, I mean, sleep paralysis is no joke. I mean, I've known people with it, and to be honest with you, man, Kirby, it could be a man or a woman, right?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it could be. You could very well be abducted, but definitely keep us updated. If you put a cam in your room or something and you find something, please definitely. Let us know.
Yeah, email us that footage. We'll throw it up on the website. Ann from Texas says, "Hey, Goose and Cronkite, new listener and first time writing in. I found your show on YouTube. I was searching for Art Bell and listened to your tribute show. I was speechless. It was very well produced and put together. I'm hooked." Thank you very much, Ann from Texas.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Very kind words. Thank you, Ann. Unknown from Planet X. Hey, here to Chew Bubblegum. I've been reading about technology of the Greys is advanced. There's no telling what they can do with the brains of humans. I think that anything is possible. Roswell.
Well, thank you very much for writing in. Jeremy from Ohio says, "Hey, Goose, Cronkite, Ned, and Elliot. Have you guys saw the recent UFO picture and video that the Pentagon says is part of an ongoing investigation? What are your thoughts on the matter, Roswell?" Yes, we have, and we just talked about that.
That's what we just talked about.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Brian from Kentucky says, "Goose and Cronkite, have you saw the picture of the crab or spider on the rock on Mars? I think it's a few years old at this point. After going down the rabbit hole and doing some research, here's what I came up with. And wanted to share it with you and all of your listeners. There used to be oceans on Mars, and when it was a different orbit, or when it was in a different orbit. So when they evaporated off, a lot of the sea creatures as well as other crawling species went into the cave systems. Off the record, they have species there that can take down a strong person, dismember them, and eat them. Mars is a dangerous place to explore, so they will probably develop ray rifles, pistols, and some sort to use there."
I have saw that. Have you saw that? What he's talking about, that picture? And I guess it is maybe 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's a very strange. You have to kind of look at it.
Yeah, because it's camouflage. It's blended in. It's really good.
But it's.
But then you have NASA say that it's just a shadow effect and it's just a rock.
Right.
Sure, sure it is.
Well, I was doing a little bit of research after I had read this one earlier, and NASA is saying that it's dry ice when it somehow dry ice is evaporated or something like that. Mm-hmm. It creates these spider-looking things. I was like, no.
Do you believe that?
No.
Well, all right. If that was the case, why wouldn't they release other photos of the same thing to prove that what they're saying is correct?
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. I think that the human race came from Mars.
Yes.
I think that Mars was Earth at one point, and whatever catastrophe happened there is why we're here. So yes, it is possible that there was life. There is still life underground there.
Right. Now, I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying.
Sure.
But I don't, disagree with what you're saying. Why do you think that for?
Mars obviously had oceans at one point. We know that. We know it had oceans, so that means it had to have an atmosphere, correct?
Yes.
And when it was in a different orbit, probably closer to the sun, again, here we go. Right now, we're in the Goldilocks zone with Earth. Mars at one point was in the Goldilocks zone because it had running water. So we know it was warm enough to stay thawed, but we know it was not too hot or not too cold to freeze.
Right.
So just by thinking of how Earth is, I would imagine there was life there.
Good call. Stan from Florida says, "Does anyone that listens to Here to Chew Bubblegum have any connection to our contact with alien species other than the Greys? They seem to be the ones. They seem to be the only ones ever mentioned, and I'm aware of others. Just curious." Well, if any of our listeners do have any contact with an alien species other than the Greys, please contact us here to Chew Bubblegum and let us know.
Mike from Missouri. Hi, everybody. After re-listening to an old Elliot's article, I became interested in the Montauk Project. I've done some research and hope to make a small contribution here by explaining a simple to make device called the Delta Time Generator, or a DTG. It is a very small and handheld device produced by the electronics genius Preston Nichols. It's built around the Big Bang Theory, whereby as it's believed that our universe was opened by an acoustic wave circa 430 megahertz. The thinking is that if there were other universes around, when they too would open to other frequencies, a small oscillator is produced using a very special old quantum tunneling transistor called a surface barrier transistor. You will see a reference to this semiconductor in the Montauk Revisited book pages 129 to 131. Thank you, Elliot, for making me aware of the Montauk Project, and thanks to Cronkite and Goose for all of the ear candy entertainment they provide me. Roswell, my friends. I know why you gave me this one.
What's that?
There's a lot of big words in that one.
No. You saw me before we started, counted them out, and I just handed you sheets. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mike.
Yeah, that. Mike, that's very cool that you did some actual digging there.
Yeah,
man. That's pretty cool.
Good job. Debbie from Kentucky says, Goose and Cronkite, I hope that all is well. Have you saw that some major news outlets in the United States are reporting the UAP footage that the Pentagon is saying is real? Mm-hmm. Guess we aren't the crazy ones.
No, we're not.
Also, once the truth comes out, will you continue the show? If you do, will you make any changes or rework how you present the show? Say hello to Elliot. Hello, Elliot. His part of the show is great and gets better and better, Roswell. Thank you very much, Debbie from Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And we actually talked about that earlier, and we actually mentioned earlier, once Disclosure does come out, will the show change the format or stuff? No, not at all. We'll still keep on talking about what we've always been talking about.
And honestly, for at least a while, it's going to be the show will probably be even better, because when Disclosure actually does happen, and there's no longer a secret that these alien beings exist and have visited the planet, we're going to finally get answers to all of the questions we've had.
Yeah.
What actually crashed at Roswell? What kind of technology did they get? What was actually in the Black Forest? What was at Rendlesham? All of the things that we've talked about.
What happens in the Bermuda Triangle?
Yeah, we're finally going to get answers. So yeah, for at least a while, this show will be even better.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
Tiffany from Virginia. Hey, Goose and Cronkite. Each show gets better and better. I'm really digging the show. You are indeed ear candy. Your knowledge of UFOs and other subjects that you talk about is very impressive. Can you recommend the best alien UFO documentaries on Amazon? Also, how do you find out about the subjects that you talk about? I'll listen for your answer.
Go ahead. You can answer that one.
Well, as far as Amazon, I really don't watch a whole lot of Amazon. I like documentaries that I find on YouTube. A lot of times it's basically some of them are made by people like us that there's no filter. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Amazon, if you look up the Aldebaran project, that I did,
that is an excellent one.
You need to look that up. That's on Amazon. That's a very cool one. And then
also Dr. Stephen Greer.
Dr. Stephen Greer, I think his is on Netflix, but he's got a very good documentary about that. And YouTube. YouTube is, just
great.
An amazing place.
Yes, it is.
And honestly, it's just these subjects just fascinate Goose and I, and it's stuff that we've always kind of looked into and talked about and thought about, and so it just kind of comes naturally that we're always Googling certain things,
definitely. Again, we want to thank all of our listeners that emailed in. You can always call, text, or leave a voicemail by calling 606-373-3396. That's 606-373-3396. That is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Keep it clean, and we'll play your clip on the show. If you have a question, leave it there. We'll answer your question on the show, or we may even call you back when we are recording the show. Mm-hmm. You can also email us. How can they do that, Cronkite?
Well, you can email us, goose@heretochewbubblegum.com or Cronkite@heretochewbubblegum.com. You can reach Ned or Elliot at heretochewbubblegum@yahoo.com. Attention, Ned or Elliot in the subject line.
Now, before we go to take a break, and don't ask me how I know this, I can't tell you, and it could not be true. Mark the day on your calendar, May 3rd, 2021.
Okay.
I do not know why.
Okay.
They did not tell me why, but something specific will happen on May 3rd, 2021. That's just like 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
Also, June or July this year, June or July of 2021, a cruise ship that has celebrities on it. Some celebrities will encounter problems and sink, and some of the celebrities will die before rescue helicopters get there. Again, that will be June or July of this summer. Again, a cruise ship carrying some celebrities will have some kind of trouble at sea. The ship will sink, and some celebrities and others will perish before rescue helicopters get there. That will be June or July 2021. Well, that'll do it for the opening of the show. We're going to take a break and come back, and the whole show is devoted to listener-requested topics. We're going to be talking about the secrets of Fatima and the Hopkinsville Goblins. We'll be back in just a moment.
Falling down seems so easy to do. Staying here only brings me down. Tears in her eyes, she's so confused by the life she...
Hey everyone, this is Goose from Here to Chew Bubblegum. I want to tell you about my friend T-Shirt Joe at FastCustomShirts.com. T-Shirt Joe is your go-to guy for all your custom work. Also, you can check out their website and find artist originals, college shirts, comics, famous folk, fetish, military, movie shirts, occupations, podcast and website shirts, plus he has face masks and many other items over at FastCustomShirts.com. While there at their website, you can sign up for their newsletter. Or you can give Joe a call at area code 361-814-9212. That's 361-814-9212 to contact my friend T-Shirt Joe at FastCustomShirts.com.
Goose and Cronkite. Give the guys a break. They're not that bright.
And welcome back to Here to Chew Bubblegum with Goose and Cronkite.
That's me.
And I am Goose.
No, I'm Cronkite.
Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Well, now that the introductions are out of the way.
So this whole show is going to be listener-requested topics. We have people email, comment on topics that they wanted us to talk about. And the first one up, Wesley says, The Secrets of Fatima. Have you ever heard about The Secrets of Fatima?
I've not.
I've not either until I looked this up, and I have a bunch of research, and I'm not going to read all this because I know
a lot of pages.
It's about 14 pages here.
Did Stephen email again? Or?
No. Let's see.
I'm so sorry, Stephen.
No, he's not, Stephen. The Three Secrets of Fatima consist of a series of apocalyptic visions and prophecies which were reportedly given to three young Portuguese shepherds. Luis Santos and her cousins received these messages starting on May 13th, 1917. The three children claimed to have been visited by the Virgin Mary 6 times between May and October of 1917. The apparition is now popularly known as Our Lady of Fatima. The first secret says, was written in 1941. Lucia said that the first secret was a vision of hell was disclosed to the children on July 13th, 1997. Our Lady showed us a great sea of fire which seemed to be under the earth. Plunged in this fire were demons and souls in human form, like transparent burning embers, all blackened and burnished bronze, floating about in, so the first one was a vision of hell. What do you think about that? That's secret number one.
Disturbing.
Secret number two was a statement that World War I would end, along with this prediction of another war during the reign of Pope Pius X. Should men continue offending God, and should Russia not convert? The second half of the request says that Russia be constricted to the inclement heart of Mary. So, to save them, God wishes to establish in the world a devotion to the inclement heart. If what I say is done, many souls will be saved, and there will be peace. What do you think about that?
So, the vision was to convert Russia.
Yes.
To an all Christian religion.
Yes, and that World War I would end. Now, the third secret is controversial. The third the third secret was not disclosed in Lucia's and Sister Lucia's memoirs. But in 1943, she fell ill with influenza, and a bishop that visited her asked her to write down the third secret to ensure that he would know it would be recorded in the event of her death. She was hesitant to do so, but she did, and she had heard Mary say not to reveal it, but because of the Father asked her to, she did write it down. Finally, in mid-October, Bishop Sylvia sent a letter containing a direct order to record the secret, and Sister Lucia obeyed. The third part of the secret was written down, like I said, in June 1944, then sealed in an envelope containing the third secret, which was delivered, and it stayed sealed until 1957, when it was finally delivered to Rome. It was announced by Cardinal Angelo Sodano on May 13th, 2000, 83 years after the first apparition and 19 years after the assassination of Pope John Paul II. The third secret would finally be released. In his announcement, the Cardinal implied that the secret was about the 20th century persecution of Christians that accumulated to the failure of Pope John Paul II assassination attempt on May 13, 1981, the 64th anniversary of the first apparition of the Lady of Fatima. But there's some controversy on that, and it goes on to say that the third secret controversy prior to the 1930s, the main focus of the devotion of Our Lady of Fatima, which was at time not widely known outside Portugal or Spain, was on the need to pray for the Rosary for the end of World War I and for world peace. What's your thoughts on that so far?
Was there an attempt on the Pope's life in 81?
Yes, there was.
So, my question is about the persecution of Christians. Is that the Middle East is obviously persecuting Christians,
right?
But, I mean,
right.
There was supposed to be a worldwide persecution, correct?
Yes. Well, according to one source, when Sister Lucia was asked about the third secret, this is before she wrote it down, she said it was in the Gospels and in the Apocalypse. And at one point, she even specified Apocalypse chapters 8 to 13 in the range that includes the book of Revelations 12:14, the chapter and the verse cited by Pope John Paul II in his homily in Fatima on May 13th, 2000. So that basically, you had three young girls that supposedly saw the Virgin Mary, and they were given three prophecies by the Virgin Mary. So
wow.
And I had saw that. I'd heard of that years ago and actually forgot about it. I saw it on Unsolved Mysteries, I think back in the 80s, and I know I probably butchered the story with some of the names and stuff, but I mean, it is a very fascinating subject. Wesley, I hope I did your request justice. If there's anything that I missed that you want to add in there, please reach out and email us, contact us, and we will be sure to add that in there.
Sure will.
Our next listener-requested topics is from John, and he says, Hopkinsville Goblins. Take it away, Cronkite.
I have that right here.
Yes, you do.
So the Hopkinsville Goblins, that's something we've actually done before on the show.
Yes, we have.
But to kind of recap and go over it, the mythology began in part on the night of August 21st, 1955, when a large extended farm family called the Suttons arrived breathlessly at the Hopkinsville police station in southwestern Kentucky. Their story of a terrifying siege by otherworldly beings would become one of the most detailed and baffling accounts of an alien close encounter on record. Notable for this large number of witnesses, nearly a dozen witnesses, the duration of the encounter for several hours, and the close proximity between the witnesses and creatures, sometimes just a few feet away, the incident quickly became a regional and even national news. The alleged encounter occurred in the Sutton's Farm, tiny rural hamlet of Kelly in Kentucky, where the family lived on an unpainted 3-bedroom house without running water, telephone, radio, TV, or books. All of the details of their story, the UFO landing, and the appearance of small alien creatures, one fact is indisputable. When the 8 adults and 3 children arrived at the nearby Hopkinsville police at about 11 p.m., they were genuinely terror-struck. And one of the police officers, or the chief of police, actually goes on to say, these aren't the kind of people who normally run to the police for help. What they do is reach for their guns, yet here they are, women and children, hysterical, and one man with a pulse of 140 beats per minute. Genuinely.
That makes you wonder right there why he has a pulse of 140 beats a minute.
Freaked out.
And for those of you that are not listening in our area, what he meant by him saying these are the type of people that do not go to the police, that just simply means these are the type of the people that take care of their own problems themselves.
Exactly. According to the accounts given by police at about 7 p.m. on the hot Sunday evening, Sutton family friend Billy Ray Taylor was fetching water from the backyard well when he saw a silvery object, quote, real bright with an exhaust all of the colors of the rainbow, unquote. As he later recounted, it came silently toward the house and passed over it, stopped in the air, and then dropped straight to the ground. Taylor, 21, and his 18-year-old wife had come from Pennsylvania to visit Lucky Sutton, with whom he had worked as in a traveling carnival.
Right.
The Sutton's 50-year-old widow and matriarch, Glennie Lankford, told her older sons and wives and brother-in-law of the widow's 3 younger children didn't take Billy Ray seriously at all, laughing off his UFO account. And, you know, you would. you know what I mean? Especially in 1955. You don't have running water, television, anything like that. You don't know what's going on in the world. You know, 1947 was just a few years ago. You don't know what's been going on. You know. An hour later, alerted by the dog's incessant barking, Lucky and Billy went to the back door and made out a strange glow, in the midst of which they spied a small humanoid creature, about 3.5 feet tall. It had an oversized head, almost perfectly round, arms extended almost to the ground, and its hands had talons. Its eyes were glowed with a yellowish light. The body gave off an eerie shimmer in the light of the night's moon. They said as if it was made of a silver metal. Terrified, the 2 men grabbed a 20-gauge shotgun and 22 rifle and fired at the little man. Its hands raised as if it was held up at gunpoint, and it came toward the back door. They reported that it then did a flip, scrambled upright, and fled into the darkness. Shortly after, the men saw a similar creature appear in a side window and fired through the window screen. Still impervious to bullets, the little man again flipped, then disappeared. I went out to the hallway and crouched down next to Billy. When I saw the one approaching the door, Miss Lankford told Isabel Davis, author of an extensive report called Close Encounters at Kelly. It looked like a 5-gallon gasoline can with a head on top of small legs. It was shimmering like bright metal, like basically on a refrigerator. The drama escalated when Taylor stepped outside under the small overhanging roof, and those behind him saw a claw-like hand reach down and touch his hair. So it grabbed him.
Right.
The group screamed. I'm picturing this in my head.
Yeah.
Somebody, seeing a hand and just everybody,
just jump. So.
I mean, it's terrifying. Listen, I would never want to be in this situation, but it's kind of funny to kind of picture it in your head. The group screamed and pulled Taylor back while Lucky shot above the overhang and then another similar creature in a nearby tree. It floated to the ground and then scurried into the woods. The Suttons moved inside and spent several hours listening for movements, hearing mostly occasional scratchings on the roof. At 11 p.m., the group ran for the cars and hightailed it to the Hopkinsville police station. After the local police chief called for backup, his team was joined at the Sutton family farm by state police, military police from nearby Fort Campbell. and a photographer from a news agency. Their investigators found shell casings from the gunshots, but no other evidence. Neither could they find proof of heavy drinking. According to the Sutton matriarch, liquor was not allowed in the farmhouse. So, all right. So, what is? I mean, if you're not drunk, you're not high, you're not doing anything like that.
Right.
What are you seeing?
To me, and like I said, we have discussed this on the show before. I think they 100% legit saw what they say they saw.
Definitely.
Because, you had it wasn't the Kentucky State Police, I guess it was Kentucky Highway Patrol at the time, and you have military officials show up. If people thought that it was fake, why would the military officials show up?
Exactly. So once the police and others left, the creatures returned between 2:30 a.m. and daybreak. Miss Langford says she saw one glowing repeatedly by her bedside window, its claw-like hand on the screen. That's creepy.
Yes, it is.
Basically, in the following days, after radio stations and newspapers reported on the incident, hundreds of curiosity seekers descended on the farm, often ridiculing the Suttons as ignorant and fraudulent. When they put up no trespassing signs, they proved useless. So people started charging admission. I mean, if you're going to come on my farm, if you're not going to pay attention,
right.
Yeah, I'm going to start charging admission.
Well, they're very lucky that the Suttons didn't shoot them.
Exactly. So after they started charging admission, people started blasting them, saying they were just out for money. But
well, I mean, you're coming on their farm, you're intruding in their privacy.
Yeah, I mean,
why not make a buck off of it?
Yeah, if you're going to be there and you're going to make them worry about you being on their property, you daggone right, I'm going to charge them.
Yeah, definitely.
So the day after the incident, police investigators returned to the farmhouse searching for evidence of the saucer landing, footprints, blood trails, or scratch marks on the roof. They found nothing. A local radio station interviewed the adult witnesses and made drawings based on their accounts. According to Davis, he was Davis is the reporter.
Right.
I skipped over that part. I'm so sorry.
That's no problem.
According to Davis, he was impressed by the remarkable specificity and consistency, even though the men were away from the farmhouse all day and unable to coordinate with others. So basically, these guys were interviewed away from each other.
Right.
And they all described the same thing.
They actually drew it too, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah. Well, they described it to a sketch artist.
And the sketch artist drew it.
Yep. So of course it attracted it attracted the Project Blue Book guys. They come out there and did an investigation, and basically they say it's some kind of owl, the longhorned owl.
Yeah, sure.
Because a longhorned owl, that makes sense.
Because anytime you shoot at an animal, it's going to stay right there and reach in windows and grab people's heads and hair, and I do not believe that.
Not at all. So years later, this has turned into a festival.
The Little Green Man, or is it Little Green Men Festival?
Little Green Men Festival.
Little Green Men Festival.
Yeah. So
and hopefully, we may be there this year.
I'm hoping so. That would be pretty cool. Basically, I think it happens in like August. And let's see. I do not have anything on the festival. It must not have printed off because I did print something off.
Go ahead and blame it. It did not print off.
Blame it on the technology.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I don't have anything.
But that is a fascinating story, and John, thank you for recommending Hopkinsville Goblins.
Now, hopefully, if we end up at the Little Green Man Festival,
I hope so.
We'll obviously we'll do some Facebook Lives and some YouTube videos and record a show there.
Definitely.
And then, of course, we're going to walk around and we're going to talk to some locals.
Yeah, we're definitely going to walk around and talk to some locals. And, I look forward to getting out more, just being shut down for this long.
You're pretty isolated, so, I mean, you need to get out and travel some.
How am I isolated?
You're just isolated.
How? Well, I'm here in Bunker Studios.
You're a holler monkey.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you are. I don't even know what you are.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't get out much, so you don't.
Hey, I did see the a early school picture of you with a lunchbox. Mm-hmm. You were smiling. Mm-hmm. You had an expletive on your shirt.
I did.
On something that you do on the first date.
I do.
Okay. That's a very good picture.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know it, but it's been shared nationwide.
Well, I mean, Croncutt's always been a bit of a trendsetter.
That is segment one. We're going to take a break and go into Elliot's articles. And when we come back, more listener requested topics right here on
Here to Chew Bubblegum.
We'll be back in just a moment.
Researching the inner workings of the net to bring you stories of the strange and unusual. It's Elliot's Articles on Here to Chew Bubblegum. Take it away, Elliot.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Once again, you're with Elliot here on Elliot's Articles, and we are on the Here to Chew Bubblegum podcast. Now, today I'm with my spooky family once more, and we are going to look at an awesome article that I found online. You can find it at the Kentucky for Kentucky website. It is called 15 Times Aliens Definitely Visited Kentucky, written by Coleman Larkin on September 19th, 2019. Now, here's the thing. We're not going to cover all 15, and in fact, we're going to split it up just a little bit. But this article, guys, I'm telling you, there's videos, there is links to other things. It's really neat. If you get a chance, please check that out. It's called 15 Times Aliens Definitely Visited Kentucky by Coleman Larkin. All right. So, let's get it started. We'll start with the first story, and it's a story that we've already talked about here on Here to Chew Bubblegum. In fact, we talked about it on our roundtable episode, guys. But this is Captain Thomas F. Mantell incident, January 7th, 1948. Excuse me, I almost died. In Fort Knox, Kentucky. Now, one of the things that this brings to mind is, look at that date, y'all. 1948. The biggest UFO cases in America all happened right around that time. You know what I'm saying? You've got Roswell, you've got the Gorman dogfight, you've got all this stuff going on in Kentucky. I mean, it's everywhere. So this is one of those major important cases. Now, here's what the website said. And like I said, if you want to know more about the Thomas F. Mantell incident, you can go back and listen to our roundtable episodes. I think, personally, they're one of my favorite episodes that Here to Chew Bubblegum has ever done, and it's really informative. But here we go. Considered one of the classic early UFO incidents that shaped public perception of the phenomenon, Captain Thomas Mantell, a young pilot, was sent from Goodman Army Airfield to investigate a massive circular object hovering at an extreme altitude near Madisonville, Kentucky. Eyewitness descriptions of the object estimate that it was around 300 feet in diameter, possibly metallic, and trailing a gaseous green mist. One observer claimed that it briefly descended before shooting upward to its original height at a speed greater than 500 miles per hour. Mantell pursued the UFO in an F-51D Mustang to an altitude of more than 25,000 feet before he presumably lost consciousness due to a lack of oxygen. His plane crashed near Franklin, Kentucky, and the object disappeared soon after. What do you guys think? There's actually more to the story, but I want to hear what you all say.
Well, you know how I am. I'm terribly sad that a serviceman died. But,
of course.
You know.
Not only was he a serviceman, by the way, but he was an actual, honest-to-God war hero. He flew over D-Day. And he was in World War II. He flew a lot. And,
flew the same model plane?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was, he got medals. He's a Kentucky boy. And he was excellent at his job.
Highly decorated individual.
Well, okay.
Highly decorated.
So, some things that really come at me.
Okay.
One, he followed it to a altitude that he knew that he was going to pass out.
So here's the thing:
was he just so enamored by it?
Well, here's the thing: he wasn't the only one following it.
Okay.
There was actually him and 3 other people. The 3 other people pulled back, but he this was my theory. You've got this young war hero who is protecting his state, his home. This object, they don't know what it is. Later, they said it was Venus, the planet Venus, that he was chasing the planet Venus.
Yeah, that would happen to
a decorated war hero who, but
a really, really great pilot.
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah.
So.
And but they said that, and what this article doesn't mention is that one of the last things supposedly he said was, "Oh my God, there are people on board this thing."
Okay.
That's
so he's
not
close enough to this estimated 300-foot craft.
to see
there's a window or whatever kind of word you would use.
Right.
Yeah.
So
you could peer into it.
It's a very strange case. It's now. I mean, we still don't know to this day. It's one of the first cases that Project Sign and Project Blue Book, they looked into it, and that's when they come back with the whole he was chasing the planet Venus.
Sure.
Now,
okay.
Yeah, and later
somebody could not come up with anything better than that.
Well, later on, the guy who actually came up,
was the time period for them to come up with a story after the press release?
The funniest part was that after he crashed, it took like 12 hours before the first actual Army investigator got there to look into it.
To the aircraft in his body.
Okay. There's a story that a local firefighter is the person who pulled him out of the wreckage, and they said that his head had been removed from his body, but in pictures later on, there's no blood in the cockpit. So, I mean, I don't know how that works. But also, his watch that he wore on his left wrist was frozen, I think, at 3:18.
Okay.
And it never worked again after that time. And even the coroner backed that up. The coroner backed that up in his article, or in his report. So, lots of strange things.
So what type of injuries? Has his autopsy ever been released or anything like that?
You know,
I ever see. I wonder.
I'm not real sure.
If there was a coroner, you know what I mean? I guess.
I know what you mean.
I mean, terrible injuries and.
Yeah, and here's the thing: like, there's conflicting reports about everything. His plane had holes in it. Well, no, it didn't. His plane dropped from 30,000 feet.
It would have holes in it if it dropped from 30,000.
But if you see pictures of it, it looks like it dropped and then landed smoothly, sort of, on the ground.
Okay.
It's a very strange story, and it's one that I hope our listeners look into. Okay. It's a very
I for some reason
have
not really heard of this. So I've kind of taken aback by it.
It's
okay.
There's also a historical marker in the town where it happened. So
okay, so it's a big. I mean, this is a big deal.
Yes, yeah. It's like one of the if you go back and you have a Mount Rushmore of alien. You know, you got Roswell
in America.
Yeah. In America, you've got Roswell,
and you've
Kentucky. Got Maury Island, the Maury Island incident, and then you've got this. This is a big one. It's also the first time ever, I forgot to mention this part, and this will drive it home. It's also the first time ever that a airman in Kentucky died.
Oh.
First time ever.
And they came up with he was chasing Venus.
That was my...
Thank you, son, for your service.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
That's incredibly disrespectful.
I think so, too, yeah. Can you tell that Gertie and Beagle are brother and sister? That was... That was very...
It was planned.
It was planned. We did that. All right. So that's Captain Thomas F. Mantell. Like I said, we're just going to take a short look at these.
Yeah. There's definitely way more we could go into that. I would like to,
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of my babies. That's one of my stories that I love to talk about.
And about the 40s, too, in general, like how we started having in America...
Right.
All the sightings of these crafts or, UFOs, unidentified flying objects.
6 months earlier was Roswell.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then I've heard stories of, well, then what triggered them to be so inquisitive?
Well,
when we split the atom?
There was a little thing called Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
So is that maybe, that's consensus of a lot of people.
Oh, they have finally, they're there.
Yeah, I mean,
they're somewhat there.
It's very possible.
It's like we discovered fire again, but
And it's one of those things that if you look into it, there were a lot of reports. Two main countries that had a lot of reports were Russia and America, and
who was the two after?
Who were your two biggest at the
the
right
superpowers
that
were headbutting?
Yeah,
as hard as we could.
It's crazy. I mean, it's one of those. If you get a chance, look into that. But let's go with our second story real quick.
Okay, number 2 is the Kelly Hopkinsville Goblins.
Yes,
case.
Yes, and we could do a whole show over this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This took place August 21st, 1955, of course, in Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
I love this.
All right, let's see. Another internationally known Kentucky UFO incident. A bright streak of light disappeared behind the tree line near the tiny town of Kelly, near Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Shortly after, A family of 5 adults and 7 children, some of them traveling carnival workers, claimed to have been attacked by about a dozen small creatures with large pointy ears, claw-like hands, spindly legs, and glowing yellow eyes. Excuse me. According to the family, they held the creatures off with gunfire as best they could.
I'm sorry, that's the most from this area.
It's the 50s too, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
it still could be
Kentucky. In all due respect, if I see a monster coming at my house, I'm probably going to shoot it too.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get a slingshot.
Okay, yeah, you're going to shoot it. Are you going to hold it off for 3 days?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think
you're going to have that much ammunition. And guns.
I think more along
the
lines of...
Welcome to Kentucky.
Well, there's that. Plus, I think, like, in modern-day Kentucky, you'd probably just go out and try to punch it to death, right?
Yeah.
I'm
World Star.
Because, I mean, ammunition is expensive. You're just going to go out and try to punch those things.
You could throw a 2x4 at it, too.
I mean, it's possible.
But continuing. But their weapons didn't seem to have an effect. They just made a sound that resembled bullets striking a metal bucket.
Ping.
Yeah.
Ping.
Thank you for the sound bite. Police investigated but couldn't find any evidence of the goblins. However, much of the family was so disturbed by the incident that they packed up and left in the middle of the night when the creatures supposedly returned. Today, the Kelly community commemorates the anniversary of the mysterious event on the 3rd weekend of every August with a festival called Kelly Little Green Men Days. And in 2017, the path of totality of a rare solar eclipse passed directly over the town on August 21st, the exact date of the original encounter.
Yeah, and the Kelly Hopkinsville case has had a big resurgence lately, thanks to Hellier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and, the cave system, and where these little aliens, are they connected? Are they the same little aliens? It's kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Beagle, you're up.
Okay. Number 3, lights at Big Bone Lick, Florence, Kentucky.
Why are you laughing, Gertie?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Is it the way I talk?
I think it might be.
Is.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it's your opinion or whatever. So this is from 1974. And it says to present, so this is still going on today.
Yeah, I actually know somebody who saw them last year.
Which let's promote people actually going and seeing this, since this is a touristy area instead of a cemetery.
Yeah, go here. Yeah, we did an episode about Octavia Hatcher. Please don't go and try to. Yeah,
please be respectful.
But show up to Big Bone.
Yes, Big Bone Lick.
If you can go to Big Bone, you go to Big Bone.
You go there. Since 1974, residents surrounding Big Bone Lick State Park in northern Kentucky have reported seeing inexplicable orbs of a radically moving light above the area. One woman even claims to have witnessed a mothership, in quotations, the size of a football field when she was a teenager. In 2017, the same woman and the other corroborating witnesses say that they saw a strobing red, green, and orange lights dancing over the treetops. Shortly after, the woman says she clearly observed a silver flying saucer with 3 windows. She installed a motion-activated trail cam on her property that captured these black and white images, which I'm viewing right now.
Yeah, they're all on that Kentucky for Kentucky website. Just Google 15 times aliens definitely visited Kentucky. The pictures are those are quite awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely kind of strange.
So that's pretty cool. Well, listen, we were going to do 4 this episode and 4 next episode, but we're running out of time, and we definitely don't want to take away from Goose and Cronkite.
No,
because they do.
You mean?
Yeah, they're the reason we're here, and we God bless them for that. Mm-hmm. You can listen to them on WXLR Sunday nights. Make sure you tune into that. In fact, tonight they'll be on WXLR at 10 o'clock. So, Goose, Cronkite, thank you again. Guys, this is the Spooky Family, and this is Elliot from Elliot's Articles. Dear listeners, please stay vigilant. Elliot, out.
When you want fresh, authentic Mexican food, you want El Picante in Coal Run. Dine on sizzling hot fajitas, the freshest pico de gallo, or if you're craving their secret ingredient jalapeno dip, the only place you'll find it is El Picante. Look, there are Mexican restaurants on every corner. The difference is in the mouth-watering food and the great service you'll get at El Picante in Coal Run. Visit El Picante for lunch today.
You can always call, text, or leave a voicemail for Here to Chew Bubblegum. 606-373-3396. You can also send an email to goose@heretochewbubblegum.com or cronkite@heretochewbubblegum.com.
I've got a gun and I've got my pills behind the door. The page reveals words in red, they do not fail. Beyond the sun.
And welcome back here to Chew Bubblegum. I am Cronkite. That fine feathered gentleman across the table from me is Goose.
Well, thank you very much, but I do not have feathers.
Well, you don't right now. I mean, it's summer, so your feathers fell out.
No. It's not summer yet. What's wrong with you? Where you been? It's just spring.
That's why they call you Goose.
It's not even been spring a month yet.
That's why you're... Well, yeah, well, it feels like summer. Listen, you are Goose. You have feathers. That's why they call you Goose.
No. That is not why they call me Goose.
It's 100% why they call you Goose.
No, they call me Goose because of my last name. It's similar to that. So, next question. Problem solved.
Foose is your last name.
No, it is not Foose.
Yeah.
It's Higginbotham.
That's not even close to Goose.
Well, sorry. Let's see. We're continuing the listener-requested topics. And Eli requested Bohemian Grove. And Eli, Cronkite is going to tell us about that. And we hope that he has picked the correct one.
I certainly do. I had never heard of this, so I wasn't sure if it was the right one. I had not either. But it's basically a shadowy secret club. Pretty much just like
like the Boy Scouts? The Girl Scouts.
For rich guys, I guess.
Oh, you were a Girl Scout, correct?
I was a Boy Scout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What?
I'm not a girl.
Were you really a Boy Scout?
Yeah.
From what ages?
From 8 to like 13 or 14.
Did you have a uniform?
I did.
Did you go out camping and learn all kinds of forest stuff?
I did.
Can you rub two sticks together and start a fire?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Come on, man. When was the last time you did that?
When I was a Boy Scout.
Okay.
30 years or 40 years,
okay.
20 years ago.
Did you have to dig a hole to poop in?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, we had porta potties. We were a fancy camp.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, got you.
So
you were glamping?
We weren't in an RV, so we weren't glamping. It wasn't glamping.
Did you have a tent?
I had a tent.
You were glamping?
That's not glamping.
Yes, it is. Camping, man, is when you sleep out under the stars. All you got your sleeping bag.
No, that's called homeless.
No, it's not. So tell us about the Bohemian Grove.
So, all right. So, a shadowy and controversial secret club meets in the California woods every year, and at least 5 U.S. presidents were members.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, everything that I found is like politicians, wealthy businessmen, artists, musicians, stuff like that. Basically, all of the folks that are power players in the U.S.
Meet there
once a year. So in June and July, some of the wealthiest and most powerful men in the country flocked to the Redwood Grove in Sonoma County, California. They're all members of the Bohemian Club, a private all-male club that's counted U.S. presidents, military officials, artists, and business leaders as members. The Bohemian Grove grounds are dotted with camps bearing strange names like Mandalay, Lost Angels, Isle of Aves, or Aves, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, and Silverado Squatters. Guests are welcome, but women and minors must vacate the premises at night. A hollow concrete owl towers over the Grove's artificial lake, where prominent individuals often visit to give lakeside talks and pressing public policy matters. So basically...
It sounds like a cult.
Yeah, well, essentially it sounds like all of our... policies and stuff are made right there. they circumvent Congress. And
when you were describing that, the Tom Cruise movie came to mind. That had Nicole Kidman in it. I can't think of the name of the movie right now.
Days of Thunder?
No. This one was the one where he rented the costume and went to this secret meeting at this mansion. Eyes Wide Shut was the name of it.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Yeah, that reminded me of that for a minute.
Okay, so basically it's the first weekend. It's the first weekend of the summer. Robed figures sacrifice an effigy as part of a ritual meant to banish all worries from the gathered members. Now, there was a thought that initially, and this one came from Alex Jones, who basically snuck.
You're talking about InfoWars, Alex Jones?
Yeah.
Okay.
He snuck onto the camp, and when they were burning this effigy, he made it out to be like they were making sacrifice to sacrificing children. Okay. So essentially, he exaggerated a lot.
Definitely.
Alex Jones exaggerate what?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes you wonder why. I mean, because they don't have the same jobs. I mean, they're celebrities and well-known people. Why they would even get together there to, do this stuff?
The movers and the shakers of the world, or at least the U.S., meet there. It makes perfect sense, and I'll kind of get to the thought why I think that in just a few minutes. But you notice there's no women,
right?
All right. So it says, while the club has diversified in terms of its members' professions, women have been barred from joining since its inception. In a 1978 lawsuit, the Bohemian Club were required to start hiring female employees, but they can't be members. So how do you land a coveted spot at the approximately 2,500 member club, you ask? Is that what you asked?
Yes, that's exactly what I asked.
So you either need to snag invitations from several members, or languish for decades on the club's waiting list. So essentially, you and I could do it. But you've also got to be prepared to drop $25,000 on your initiation fee. So no, I couldn't do it.
I will. Well, I couldn't do it either. I will pass on that.
Let's see.
Did they play Bohemian Rhapsody as they?
I'm sure they do. I mean, I would.
I see a little silhouette of a man. Scotty move. Can you do the fandango?
Thunderbolt of lightning.
Very, very frightening me. Galileo.
I am so sorry that happened.
That was a spur of the moment type thing.
So the motto of the Bohemian Club is "Weaving spiders come not here."
Weaving spiders.
It's very creepy.
Here. Okay,
but it's a line from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, reflecting the idea that members are not supposed to worry about work or business deals while at the club.
No, I'm sure that they talk about work and business deals while they're at the club.
I 100% believe that that's what's happening.
What if you got Tobey Maguire and he wanted to go to it and he actually played Spider-Man? Do you think they would let him in?
Possibly.
But would they just want to weave him?
Weave him?
Yeah.
Because he's a spider.
Yeah.
He maybe.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if you put in at $25,000, they'd probably be like, "Yeah, all right." So, the some interesting. I'm so sorry.
Facts.
Interesting. No. Interesting members.
Yes.
I'll show you, but my fingers are not allowing this to work right. So,
George Bush.
We're going to cut this out.
Okay. No, we're not. George Bush is on the list, right?
Yeah.
Did you print off the wrong thing?
Bohemian Grove,
yes,
has attracted a number of protesters who aren't concerned with the alleged occult aspects of the proceedings.
Okay.
The thing that they should be concerned about is the Lakeside Talks. An activist, Mary Moore, told Vice in 2011.
Okay.
They are public policy talks where these powerful people discuss and choose policy, but they do it in secrecy and with no public scrutiny. A number of journalists have managed to infiltrate the campground with mixed success. Alex Shumatoff investigated reports the club was illegally logging for Vanity Fair and was caught and detained for trespassing. Philip Weiss snuck into the Bohemian Grove in 1987 and spent a few days mingling with the rich and powerful as they attended speeches, boozed it up from breakfast to nightfall, and urinated on trees. He wrote about the strange experience for Spy magazine. On Gawker, Sophie Weiner.
Sophie Weiner?
Yeah. That sounds like a made-up name, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Also described her own stint working as a dining server at the Grove in 2016. She described the retreat as a place where the elite could engage in behavior that doesn't usually fly for people of their stature in the regular world.
I mean, so that's just a chance for them to let their hair down and
yeah, essentially, it's just a place for them. It's a guys' club.
Yeah,
it's essentially a place.
All right, let me ask you, why would people boycott a guys' club? I mean, yeah, you've got these famous people that have important stuff, but I mean, hell, they have the right to go out and get drunk and act stupid too.
I agree. I agree 100%. I don't know why people are so
up in arms about it.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Now, what I did find interesting about it was that while many politicians have attended Bohemian Grove functions, the number of presidents who were actually club members is seemingly overestimated.
Right.
So basically, it says that Calvin Coolidge and Gerald Ford were members, but they weren't.
Okay.
Just kind of they throw it out there. Let's see. The Bohemian Club reveals that there is a socially cohesive upper class in the U.S., but the Grove activities are harmless. Okay. So basically, it's just a place for guys
for them to go and just kind of relax and kick back.
Yeah. So then the Grove encampment is a bunch of guys kidding around, drinking with their buddies, and trying to relive their youth, and often acting very silly. During the meetup with Hoover at the Bohemian Grove in 1950, Nixon happened to bump into his future running mate, according to Ike and Dick, Portrait of a Strange Political Marriage. General Dwight D. Eisenhower was also there, meeting with the Caveman Camp. 2 years later, the pair would make up the Republican presidential ticket in 1952. He would also go on to join the Caveman Camp after becoming a member himself in 1953. Nixon would also reportedly use his position in the Bohemian Club to launch his ultimately successful run for the White House. According to the book Kennedy, Johnson, and the Non-Aligned World, Nixon delivered a lakeside speech to his fellow club members in 1967. He outlined his ideas on American foreign policy in what he called the first milestone on my road to presidency, end quote. Nixon also got verbal confirmation from club guest Ronald Reagan that he would not challenge him for the Republican primary that year. Nixon was so full of himself over the Bohemian Grove that he wanted to give the Lakeside Talk in 1971. The idea of sitting U.S. president giving an off-the-record speech before a cluster of some of the most powerful people in the country sparked controversy in the press. The club leaders asked him to back out, and Nixon acquiesced. But the Watergate tapes indicated that Nixon may have had mixed feelings about the Bohemian Club. He was recorded describing the Bohemian Grove activities as using derogatory slurs.
Right.
But let's be honest, we know Nixon was like a kind of a jackass.
Yeah.
And apparently, from what I read, he was pretty paranoid too.
Yeah. Yes, he was.
So Ronald Reagan was officially inducted into the Bohemian Club in 1975, the year before he tossed his hat into the 1976 campaign. He belonged to the Owl's Nest camp, which he shared with executives from United Airlines and a number of other companies that were powerful in the 1970s. During the 1980 presidential election, Reagan avoided the Bohemian Grove because he thought he might be an embarrassment to our fellow Bohemians because of the round-the-clock surveillance by the press. So Weiss reported that he was able to meet with Reagan in the Owl's Nest camp, and they made small talk, and Reagan offhandedly confirmed that he had assured Nixon he wouldn't challenge him outright for the Republican ticket nomination in 1968. Weiss wrote that Reagan gave the Lakeside Talk that year and took questions from club members afterwards, during which he called for four-year terms for Congress members and greater regulation of the press. George H.W. Bush joined in 1973 while chairing the Republican National Committee during the Watergate scandal. Bush belonged to the camp called Hillbillies.
Really? Hillbillies?
Yeah. Along with top executives from Bank of America, General Motors, and Procter & Gamble. Now, you have the H.W., he was the head of CIA.
Yes, he was. He was also, Reagan's vice president. So, and he was also the one that told Jimmy Carter that he didn't have the right to know about UFOs.
Very true.
So,
Bush also brought along a future president as a guest to one of his Bohemian Groves. He introduced his son, George W. Bush, at a lakeside talk in 1995, saying that he, quote, would make a great president one day. The covert all-male group, rumored to include the likes of Presidents Richard Nixon and H.W. Bush, was said to be taking part in nefarious dealings that included manipulating interest rates, personally anointing political candidates, and conducting their backdoor dealings to help achieve global domination. Legend had it, its annual gathering of 2,700-acre Bohemian Grove campground even culminated in cultish ritual where rogue members were engaged in satanic principles such as sacrificing a child at the 40-feet stone owl. That's from Alex Jones.
Yeah.
He overly exaggerated everything.
Definitely,
basically, the first thing was Bohemian Grove was indeed a home of series of strange ritualistic practices involving old men in black robes, but they sacrificed a papier-mâché effigy, not a living child. The second was that Alex Jones never lets anything get in the way of a good conspiracy.
Well, too, and you talk about George H.W. Bush, he was a supposed member of the Skull and Bones Society. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, if you're going to do something sinister, just an organization, Skull and Bones, that sounds sinister to me by itself.
Essentially what I'm looking at here is...
This sounds like just a country club.
It's basically that. It's a country club with rules, regulations of who can get in.
Right.
And essentially it's presidents, politicians, very powerful people.
Moving on, listener requested topics. I want to thank Eli for Bohemian Grove. Now our last one is from Bobby. He requested that we do a segment on puppets and the host who hate them.
What is it?
Puppets and the host who hate them.
Are you talking about that stupid Midweek show?
I don't know what he was talking about, but have you ever heard the term puppet phobia?
Puppet phobia?
No, puppet phobia.
Puppet phobia?
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Have you ever heard the term puppet phobia?
I have.
Puppet phobia is a fear of puppets. The phobia
in my last therapy
is
session.
Slightly common. It basically says that the term puppet phobia derives from the Latin word puppa, meaning doll, and Greek word phobia, meaning fear. Almost all of the cases of puppet phobia originate from childhood because puppets are mainly directed to children. Sufferers of puppet phobia believe that puppets are real animated objects just like living things, even though they are not real. One of the causes includes terrible nightmares about killer puppets. Sufferers would panic and hide when seeing a puppet and would avoid watching shows where puppets are portrayed. You, my friend, have a fear of puppets.
I wouldn't say puppets, but now, as far as a creepy doll, yes, definitely.
Jennifer was not a creepy doll.
Yeah.
No, she was not.
She was... I'm not even going to say what she was doing.
What?
Well, people seen what she was doing.
She liked you. You had a lot of questions about her the week before you met her.
Yeah, because I thought she was a real person. Not a cloth animal with you.
That's what made it so great.
Well, good. I'm glad you found it fun.
It was very, very fun, my friend.
Who sent that one in?
Bobby.
Bobby, you're an ass.
Puppets and the host that love them. We're going to take a break, have some Ned Said, come back in segment 3 with listener text questions of the week. And we'll be back in just a moment.
Are you a horror movie fan?
Yeah, I dig horror movies.
Are you searching for a great internet horror talk radio show to listen to?
Why, sure, that sounds quite spiffy.
Then you need to tune into deadpit.com. It's the original horror talk radio show. Dead Pit is a show by the fans and for the fans. Uncensored and unbiased opinions are the goal of the show, giving fans honest reviews on new films and vintage classics of the horror genre. Make deadpit.com your #1 horror station destination.
It's now time for Ned Said on Here to Chew Bubblegum.
If the moon supposedly smells like gunpowder, I wonder what Uranus smells like.
And welcome back. Question of the week responses. Our question of the week was, what movie end of the world scenario do you believe is more plausible? Matrix style, Terminator style, etc. Go ahead and read yours.
Andrew says 28 days later. If the past 2 years have shown us anything, it's that we don't even need to be that contagious of a plague for society to fall apart. I hate to see what the next pandemic holds in store.
That is a good one. Justin says, sadly, Mad Max, Book of Eli style post-apocalyptic fallout wasteland is looking very possible these days.
I hope not. John says Matrix, most definitely.
My cousin RJ says, Yankees fans, he's not signaling the bullpen.
10-4.
Okay.
Mark says, it's not a movie, The Last Ship.
Sean says, Idiotocracy. That's a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Brad says, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
That is a good one.
2 men enter, 1 man leave.
That is a good one. Chad says, seeing how they're training the robot dogs for battle, my vote goes for the Terminator. That is a good one as well. We want to thank everyone for their question of the week responses. We're going to be pre-recording next week's show, so we will not have a question of the week, but we do have some listener text. And yes, I did get behind this week. I didn't have time to print all the current listener text off. So the next couple of weeks, we'll have a best of listener text.
We certainly will.
And I'll start out. This is from the best of file, listener text. From the Bearded Sisters. Around the age of 12 to 13, I saw my first UFO. It was around midnight, and it was a long time ago. We took our dog out to relieve himself in the front garden. As always, I looked up at the night sky, which was cloudless. Among the stars was a sharp, bright light with zigzagging all over the sky. No way it was a plane or helicopter living close to an airport. I was well learned on the topic of aircraft. It did this for about 90 seconds before shooting off at incredible speed. This happened in the northwest of England. This was my first of many, many sightings.
Mr. 411 says, I just had a story and a question. First, the story. Years when I was, I'm sure years ago, when I was in grade school, I saw a UFO in the sky. It had 4 lights on the front of it and changed colors from white, blue, red, green, yellow, then back to white. Very similar to what we saw.
Yes, it was.
When you were describing what Jimmy Carter saw, and you both had saw similar UFOs, I knew that I had to reach out and share my story with you. Now, my question is, what amazes me is how many non-believers are there. What do you guys think about non-believers and or closed-minded people?
Everyone has their right to their own opinion. You know, closed-minded people, sometimes need to be shown something to open their eyes up. You know, you can say that they're from the state of Missouri, the show me state. Me, I try not to be closed-minded about anything, and I try to, give everybody a chance and, have an open mind.
Yep. Very similar here. I mean, it's, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I'm a believer, and I try to keep an open mind on almost everything. And it's just hard to explain to other people why you feel that way sometimes. And if non-believers or closed-minded people have never been in a certain situation, they're not, they can't understand. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah, definitely.
You have to, you can't get angry with them. You can't get mad at them. You can't get frustrated with them. You just have to say, well, this is why I believe this way. And if they choose to believe, cool. If not, cool.
Yeah. Benjamin says, hi, Goose and Cronkite. I live close to the area that you live in. I Googled the city that moves mountains in one of your voiceover promos. It says that you record in a secret location, and Goose, you've said Bunker Studios. When I watch the YouTube videos, it really does look like a bunker. Are you and Cronkite really in a bunker? Also, do you have any updates on when and what channel you'll be on local radio? Like I said, this was from the best of text. Yes, we really record in a bunker from a secret location. As we mentioned on last week's show, we are currently looking at moving locations very soon, hopefully, and setting up a permanent studio home for Here to Chew Bubblegum.
It's an amazing time to be alive, folks.
Yes, it is, and we are on WXLR every Sunday nights at 10 p.m. 104.9, and coming soon to WKCB 107.1 in Hyman, Kentucky, and there may be some more stations come on board later on down the road.
Very exciting stuff.
Very exciting. What does your next one say?
Brian says, it amazes me how you guys can talk pretty much about anything and make it interesting and funny. I can tell that you are not knowledgeable about the subjects you discuss. I've been listening for a couple of weeks, and once I got past the accents, I was hooked. Thank you for entertaining me. 2020 has been rough for sure, and I hope the new year brings better things. Please don't stop doing the show. We have no intentions right now of stop doing the show.
Never. You should hear some of the stuff that we edit out of the show.
Oh, my gosh. No, you shouldn't. That's why we edited it out. And as far as the accents go, you're right. They are twangy, and they sound like mashed potatoes in their mouth all the time.
No, they do not.
And it's very upsetting to hear myself on the radio. And I apologize. However, there's a lot of people who love it, so...
There you go. Alf for Prez says, I've been looking into the Brown Mountain Lights that you mentioned in last week's show. I hadn't heard of it, and I'm now reading and watching everything that I can find out about it. What are your thoughts on the Brown Mountain Lights? Again, that's been several months ago that we talked about that, and how I first became aware of the Brown Mountain Lights is through the TV show The X-Files. And to the best of my knowledge, there's been no real explanation as to what the Brown Mountain Lights are, or what makes them, where they come from. If you believe the swamp gas theory, which I don't either, that's what some people claim.
No, not at all. UM Fan 1994 says, in the area that you live, are there any military bases nearby? Through my research, I've noticed that areas with military bases have more UFO sightings versus areas with that don't have any bases. Our closest one, I think, is about an hour and a half away.
Yeah, Richmond the Bluegrass Army Depot.
Yeah, and there was talk that I read an article years ago, but I think I found out that it was satire, that there was possibly one located under a lake nearby.
Yeah,
but I think that turned out to be a false statement.
Okay, yeah, I actually remember you talking about that, and I'm like, man, do more research on that, and
yeah, it was upsetting when I found out because it was a very good article,
upsetting.
And I was like, man, and I even drove around this lake for days after I read it to see.
Did you really looking for it?
Yeah.
So, hey, it happens.
Yeah.
Again, we want to thank all of our listeners for the question of the week responses and listener text. You can always email us, or you can call us 606-373-3396. That's 606-373-3396, or email us.
You can email us, goose@heretochewbubblegum.com, or myself, Cronkite, at heretochewbubblegum.com. You can reach Ned or Elliot by reaching out to heretochewbubblegum@yahoo.com. Attention, Ned or Elliot in the subject line.
And we will have some big news in the next couple of weeks coming up that has to do with our very own Elliot. I'm not going to give it away.
Mm-hmm.
But we have some very exciting news if you're a fan of the show. We have some very exciting news regarding Elliot and his articles.
I'm just going to tell it because
no, you're not going to tell it.
Because last week I told
you don't even know what it is.
Last week I told him about him being a time traveler. He's going back. He's going back to 3062. It's exciting stuff. He says he's going to write us a.
That wasn't last week. That was at the beginning of this show. Has it been that long of a show for you?
Oh, it was last week's show.
No, it was this week. You started off this week with saying he was a time traveler.
Oh, it was last week.
No, it was not.
It was last week.
No, it was not, man. Anyway, I want to say special thanks to Carlin for all the voiceover work, CK, Uncle Bill, and the rest of the gang at deadpit.com, T-Shirt Joe at fastcustomshirts.com. Be sure to check out my friend Justin at Talk Junkie. That'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week, and until then, so long for now.
Oh my God, it was this week's show.
Told you.
Daggone.
Told you.
I am so sorry.
You're ready to fall asleep, aren't you?
It's been a long day.
It's been a good show, my friend.
It certainly has. 3062. Ready to watch for it.
Yeah.
We'll see you.
Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Tune in next time as we dive deeper into things the government doesn't want us to know.